What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to Fuzzle Productions. I'm your host, Miss Fuzzle, in the building. I am in a different surrounding and I have my cap on, and I was just reading a book, and it just really made me think about what it means for me to be African. Today is Africa Day, so happy Africa Day to all my African peoples. Gang, 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 gang. Before I go into what I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to roll the intro and we'll be right back after that. So, I've kind of just been thinking a lot about what it means for me to be African, and what am I contributing to the narrative of Africa. Obviously, I live abroad. I've lived abroad for a couple of years. But when I think of home, I don't think Canada, I don't think the UK, I think Zimbabwe. And I'm really lucky that I've been able to still remain very connected to my Zimbabwean and my African roots. I have parents who are proudly African, who celebrate their Africanness, who still live on the continent. Yes, continent. It's really interesting because when we're celebrating Africa Day, it's a very bittersweet moment for me. I see the potential that Africa has, but I also see that we are essentially captured. I don't want to say this, I don't want to take it lightly, what I'm saying, but the way I view things is that we've had colonization, we've had a history of slavery, but we've actually enslaved ourselves mentally as well. I recently just got some inventory for my online clothing boutique called Umambo, and I was talking to one of the guys who was in the park. I'm in a park reading a book and just like taking a break from studying in my day. And he was talking about that, like, he owns a pottery studio, and a lot of people who are in Africa don't see the value of African goods until they come abroad. And then when you come abroad, it becomes almost like you want to identify with being African, that you feel the need to get everything that shows that, like, distinguishes or differentiates you from all the other blacks that are here. And it was just, I found it very interesting that we will praise a lot of these I can talk for the fashion industry. We'll praise a lot of these big brands from America, from Canada, from Europe, and when it comes to artists and fashion designers and brands from within our own countries, we kind of just have this idea, or we don't pay attention to them because they're inferior. We could be using the same production companies, we could be like paying the same amount to get the garments. Our garments ourselves could be better than the ones that you're buying from like all these big brand stores, but you buy the brand stores because there's almost a bit of like shame, or a little bit of like, there's this idea that if it's coming from Africa, it isn't good quality. And I was talking about how when people think, oh, I want to get like clothing made at a factory, people don't think, I want clothing that's African, let me get it from straight from the continent. Let me get into touch with a person in Nigeria, a person in Ghana, a person in Sierra Leone, a person in South Africa, a person in Zimbabwe, a person in Congo. People don't think, let me get in touch with the roots. People think, oh, I can just get this from a vendor in China who's producing the same material. Why do we do that? A lot of the times, actually, getting the stuff from back home is cheaper than getting it from China, and you get a more authentic experience. Why not invest your money in your people rather than investing your money in people who are then giving subsidies to your country and continuing to put them in debt? And that's, I don't know, and maybe I'm looking too far into it, but I just feel like as Africans, as we celebrate Africa Day, it's important for us to really think about what are we doing? What are we doing to improve the narrative of Africa? Because I'm sick and tired of introducing yourself and people ask you where you're from, and you say I'm from Zimbabwe, and people like looking at you like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. I'm sick and tired of the narrative of having people like be referring to your country as the place where only for $5 a day you can help a family get access to water. No, I'm sick and tired of that. We as Africans, especially the Africans who are living abroad, have a responsibility to make sure that we're creating a positive narrative for Africa. And I'm putting that out there because I think it's my responsibility as well. We can't continue to live life in complete, like, just oblivion. It's difficult for me to have people say we're celebrating Africa Day, and meanwhile, you haven't invested in Africa. It's difficult for me to say I'm celebrating Africa Day, and meanwhile, whenever people are trashing Africans at work, yeah, they're doing Africans, scammers. No, it's difficult for me to understand why, as Africans, we I think it's definitely changing, especially with quarantine and with everything that's been going on. If you do a little bit of research, you'll find that there's definitely a change in mindset for the way people are thinking about the continent and thinking about their countries and the responsibilities that they have there. But I think, guys, like, us young people, we could be doing so much more to contribute to the narrative. You don't have to. I understand not everybody has the means to invest in Africa. Not everybody has the resources to be buying land or building a house in Africa. I'm not saying that. And do what makes sense for you. But I don't believe it makes sense for you to be trashing your neighboring country's people. What does that benefit you? How does that benefit the narrative? It doesn't. So if you can't afford to invest, or it's not something that you see yourself doing, the least you can do is talk positively about Africa. But part of talking positively about Africa is actually going out there and doing your research and understanding what are the problems, what are the solutions. We have so many young people who come abroad, get amazing education, and don't even bother. And listen, I'm not saying it's not everyone's cup of tea for you to go back home and invest there through education, through whatever. That's not everybody's cup of tea. But imagine how many people you'd be able to impact if you created like a relationship with like a university. Do an exchange program with the university, link them to schools within your country so that other kids have exposure. Find a way to go back home maybe and give a talk. Hey guys, if you're interested in the tech industry, this is where the tech industry is going. If you want more information, these are the books you can read. These are the things you can do. I fail to understand. We have so many very intelligent people who are African, who are black, who are out here in the abroad, who have not contributed to any aspect of where they're coming from. Listen, yeah, when it comes to it, if these people say leave our country today, you want to be able to go back where you came from, yeah? Where you came from. You want to be able to go back there and know you have good health care. You want to go back there and know you have good education. You want to go back there and know your roads are good. If you and I don't start contributing to that, listen, we will go back home and do retirement back home and die of stress because nothing's changed. And we will sit and complain and complain and complain and complain and complain, but we were part of the problem. It's not just the responsibilities of the governments that are out there. Some people, I'm not even going to name names out there, but some governments have their own things that are going on and really and truly don't have the time. Sometimes they don't even want to help the people like that. At least help the people in your community, bro. Start with your community. Start with your immediate family. Education is so important. Guys, listen. If you educate a girl child, you have educated that village. You've educated that community. Start with that. Make sure that all the girls within your family are going to school and are reaching up to at least Form 4, Lower 6, Upper 6. There, you have more to gain from educating that child. And that's not to say educating like the male child is not necessary. Education is important for everybody, period. But with Africa, with the way we're set up, education is so important for women. Education is what will control birth rates. Imagine if you had a village that had women who understood how to use birth control, that understood how to take care of their young, how to different kinds of medications when people are sick, vaccinations. If you had women who could, one community that sorts out cotton and makes the cotton, the next community after that literally picks all the cotton and pulls it. The next community is in charge of just like making sure that cotton can be threaded, and the next one is part of weaving. You then create a community of empowered people that can create jobs for themselves, who can make money from themselves through a cotton industry. Are you telling me we don't have people who are into agriculture, who are into textiles, who can't go back home and just like find 3 or 4 people and be like, hey, these are the skills? Stop giving people money. Money doesn't help you. Don't give me the fish. Teach me how to fish. Teach me how to fish. Because giving me the fish is going to sustain me today, but I need another fish tomorrow. So teach me how to fish. Go. Show me how I can plant the cotton. Show me how I can pluck it out. Show me how I can weave it. Show me how to... Guys, this video is becoming too long. I think what it is essentially that I was trying to say is like, as we celebrate Africa Day, how are you contributing to the narrative of Africa? If you're not contributing anything, we got to rethink the way we're doing things. We have a responsibility, whether you're out of Africa or whether you're in Africa, whatever country you're from, we have a responsibility. Whatever that looks like for you, we all have different things that we're good at. We all have different things we're passionate about. But we can't keep excelling as individuals and not carrying the rest of the community with us. You want to be in a position where if you fall, you're not falling from 50 to 0. You want to be in a place where if you're falling from 50, you have people who can catch you before you get to 0. Anyways, that's my rant for Africa Day. Think about it. Again, it's not about contributing financially. It's not about going to the motherland and like going out there and doing advocacy. If that's not your thing, don't do it. But you know what you're good at. Contribute positively to the narrative. It starts with little things like when people talk about Africans at work or at school and they are saying negative things. Question them. Why do you say that? I've heard a lot of statements about, oh, this group of people are scammers. Why do you say that? Do you know anybody personally who's scammed you? It's not a whole population. It's 1 or 2 people. Question them. That improves the narrative. The next time they meet someone of that country or that group of people, they're not going there with presumptions of what this person is supposed to be like. You've given that other person an opportunity to be great, to have a positive first impression. Be your brother's keeper. I think that's where I'm kind of just going with this. Be your brother's keeper. And with that being said, I'm going to lock out because I actually have a midterm in an hour and a half, but I have a meeting before that. I just wanted to come out and really talk about it because it's something that really irks my spirit. Yeah, and my camera quality is going to be a little bit different. I'm filming on my phone and I'm outside, so I hope the wind wasn't too loud. But thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you listening. I hope it challenges you to really think about what you're contributing to the narrative and how we can all be contributing and making sure we're excelling and not just staying stagnant where we're at. I love you. I appreciate you. Stay healthy. Stay motivated. Stay read up. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have an awesome day. Bye. Tizi kumira, yeah, yeah. Kushikira maguziwa, yeah, yeah.